welcome to our Internal Audit Insights. Today, we're going to be talking about Fannie Mae MORA requirements for internal audit. I'm Mignon Davis, and I'm joined by Cassidy Tim. Together, we run internal audit here at Richey Mae. All right, let's dig in. So we want to talk about what Fannie Mae is going to be looking for if they come in to do a Fannie Mae MORA on you, or if you are going to apply for Fannie Mae approval, what are they going to want to see during that approval process? So Fannie Mae wants to see that your company has an established internal audit function, and it must be independent of operations, meaning that it can't roll up through a reporting line that is tied into operations at all. So it needs to run up through like compliance or directly to, the CEO or equivalent. So they also want to see a completed risk assessment that details a risk-based internal audit schedule, and they want to make sure that it's a current version and that it's being updated annually.
Yeah, so with that schedule, it should include areas of the company's core operations. So things like underwriting, processing, closing, all the different key areas in your operation. So it doesn't specify exactly how you have to break it out. It just has to make sure that it's encompassing all of your core operations. And with that schedule, it also should detail the cadence of when audits are scheduled to be completed. And that should be based on risk rankings that are identified throughout your risk assessment process. So high risk should obviously be audited sooner and more frequently than something you identify as low risk. Another thing to point out, a good example would be QC. Fannie Mae definitely puts a lot of emphasis on the QC process. So that would be something that you probably would consider a high risk, and Fannie Mae does want to see that that's being performed annually as well.
Right. They also want to see that results of these audits are being reported to management and that there is an established method of tracking the corrective actions. So any findings that are identified, you want to track those for remediation, and the steps that you're taking to resolve those issues. And you'll want to have that for at least 12 months. Fannie Mae is going to be asking for, that a record of that for over the last 12-month period. They also want to see that there's an open line of communication between internal audit and the business units and management. It's a partnership between those entities or those parties. So, like we discussed previously, internal audit should add value to the process and not just be a check the box exercise. Internal audit should be identifying issues and gaps and making recommendations that are going to help the business line enhance their operation and thus, the partnership there.
Yep. And if you think about it, a lender doesn't want to wait until Fannie Mae points out that you're not complying. It's going to be better if it's identified and you're already working to resolve that issue when they come in or when you go to apply.
That's right. Yeah. And the findings that we see from Fannie Mae usually result from a lender not having one of these things that we've just talked about. So if you're going through this list and listening to this, and you don't have one of these items that we've pointed out, you're gonna have to remediate that issue. If Fannie Mae comes in and does a MORA, it's going to be a remediation item. And if you're trying to apply for Fannie Mae approval, they're going to want you to prop up this process before they're going to approve you.
And if you think about, or kind of going back to why it's so important to Fannie Mae, why do they care so much about internal audit? Kind of the way we look at it is Fannie Mae can't look at everything that a lender does in originating or servicing a loan. So the best way for them to make sure that you as a lender are complying with their guidelines is for them to make sure that a lender is continuously looking at your own operations and enhancing processes as you identify issues or gaps throughout that process.
That's right. All right, well, that's all we have for today. We appreciate you joining us, and next time we will review some helpful resources that Fannie Mae has available that you may or may not be aware of, so stay tuned for that, and we'll see you next time.